James, I mean, that's the headline. I'm not sure if I stole the thunder from you, but tell us more.
I mean, I think when you're thinking about the property market problems in China, it's important to think about it as two different stories, interrelated but different stories. One is property developer problems, and that's the sort of support that you're seeing and being announced by the government yesterday, and the signals of more support. That's for the property developer side, or the supply side of the equation. Extensions of loans for property developers that are in trouble, more loans to help them finish the apartments they've sold, but they haven't actually been able to build yet. And so a lot of the measures, all of the measures so far that have been announced are really focusing on that property side to prop up housing developers. And so over the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of housing developers default. Some of the weakest ones have gone out of business, and the remainder, now the government is trying to make them financially stable so they can continue to build houses, especially the ones that they've sold but they haven't actually constructed yet. On the demand side, though, we're seeing a lot less actual support from the government to really boost demand or to sort of prop up demand from home buyers. And if there isn't really a boom in demand or a recovery of demand to the levels we've seen in previous years, it kind of doesn't matter what the government is going to do for the supply side. If people aren't going to be willing to buy a house, that this property problem is just going to go on. And even if there is support for loans now, if they can't make sales in the future, the new loans that the government is or the state-owned banks are making are just going to go bad. So, what we've seen in China over the last 3 years is there's a lot of support for supply-side problems in the economy, for manufacturing, for other things. But for the demand side, we haven't really seen a massive boost for prospective homeowners yet. And so, unless we do really see a return of home buyers to the home market, this problem is just going to go on and on.
Yeah, and they're hoping these measures are at least going to ensure the delivery of some of these homes that are under construction for now, James, which could be, the beginning of some sort of help. But I'm just wondering, you mentioned about these banks that are being told to extend these loans. We've seen sort of a lot more of these concerns from Goldman recently, talking about how banks are exposed now to the property sector as well as these LGFVs as well. How are you looking at some of the credit pressures that we're seeing amongst the banks now?
Thank you. Well, I think the point you made about this will hopefully get homes delivered is an important one, and that may boost confidence in the future. If people people purchased homes last year or the year before or even years ago and they haven't got them, then having them delivered will boost their confidence, and I guess boost the confidence of people they know. If they do buy a house, they'll actually get a house at some point. But I think the question of who's going to take all these losses is a really important one going forward. LGFV debts have to be, a lot of them, or at least some of the LGFV debts have to be extended, or someone has to take a loss on some of those, because they're just not going to get paid back. Some of these home loan things are also not going to get paid back, or people are going to have to take a haircut on these bonds. And it does seem like a lot of that is now being pushed onto the banking sector. However, you have to remember that the banking sector in China is the state. All of these banks, or most of these banks, are state-owned banks. And so the government is basically forcing one part of its own balance sheet to prop up another part of its own balance sheet. So yes, the banking sector is going to be holding the basket or holding the baby, taking some of these losses. But in the end, it's all basically the government is going to be taking the losses from other parts of the government's profligate lending.